Right. It says that we are live. So, welcome. Thank you for joining me. This will be my thoughts on Alien Earth Season 1, Episode 5 In Space, No One. The episode is rated TVMA, so this video B, there will be spoilers for every single potential spoilers for every single live action alien anything up to and including this episode. I fucking loved this episode. Let's see. I am gonna start with some general stuff. So I thought they did a fantastic job here with just the overall episode, because this is one of those things you got to be real careful. Um, Obviously, the audience has waited a fucking week to see what happens after Wendy caresses the fucking you know chest burster. We really want to find out what happens next, and then instead, and you're like halfway through the season, got good, like, yeah, the energies, the vibes just right, and yeah, then they do an entire episode that's a flashback. This is kind of a thing I've noticed in recent shows, like about halfway through a season, they'll do a flashback episode, and let's see. It's specifically like a flashback where like we already know. It's not one of those flashbacks where we actually don't know how this ends. No, we know exactly you know the yeah. As we realize, we didn't know exactly how they got there, but by the end of this episode, we do realize, yeah, the shit. What was his name? Petrovich, is that his name? The saboteur. He yeah. Congratulations, he got himself caught. What's the next step of his master plan? Crushing the ship with no survivors. And let's see. Yeah, it's a bunch of people that we don't really know, and we spend the entire episode with. Like we glimpsed them in the start of the first episode of the season. Yeah, I think that is. Yeah, I really appreciate getting to know Morrow. God, they're doing such a good job on it. Like when we first met him, I was tiny bit worried that he was going to be one note. But yeah, Noah Hawley, he really does succeed. He actually directed this episode also. I noticed in the credits. Yeah, he really he's so fucking good at this. Yeah, creating these characters where at a glance you'd say, "Oh, that's the bad guy," and as we get to learn more about that character, we find, huh, that's actually they're a very well-rounded character. He did it on Legion. He does it here. Another thing he does on both incredibly well. These goddamn needle drops, like fuck, just so damn good. I love the one where he's in the impact room, for example. Um, Less autism spectrum coding in this episode, but there is a little with Teng and also with Morrow. And once again, if this is the first video of mine on this you watch, when I say autism spectrum coding, I don't mean anything negative by that. I have a great fondness for a number of autistic people. Yeah, I think that might be it for the general. Yeah, I quite appreciated getting a little bit more of we see him with Miss Yutani. Yeah, I think that is everything. That the general. I mean, so yeah. Let's see. We got the title card. 13 days ago, and the yeah, Morrow, being woken up early, and Clem. At first, yeah, I too was thinking like, Jesus Christ, let the fucking man talk. Why he keeps just talking over him. But then you do see, okay, Clem is not ready for prime time, so um, I think, yeah, and I quite like that. As soon as Morrow walks in the room, he presses the off button for that. He's in charge now. He feels in charge, and nobody else did that. Even like, let's see. There's that thing about, because like the original captain was the face hugged, one of the face hugged persons, um, and now Zevery is in charge, and she didn't turn off the alarm. Like as soon as they wake up Morrow, the alarm doesn't need to be blaring anymore, right? I mean, isn't that? Yeah. Um, Certainly he doesn't seem to think so, and none of the others are like, "What the fuck are you doing? We need the alarm." I was getting used to the sound. It's a good beat. Um, and I also like yeah, that's definitely a coded. Right. Yeah. When I say coded in these videos, I mean autism spectrum coded. Um, yeah, very coded. He's like, okay, let's do this, and one of the others is like, you're in your underwear, get dressed, because he's like, why do I need to get dressed? There's things to do. Um, I think that pretty well gets us to the you're right, and yeah, Clem's the one who tells Morrow, yeah, they've been fucking. And afterwards, he's just like, oh, I'm the security officer. I know everything. And so there's several things going on there that I think are worth noting. As soon as Clem says that the two of them have been fucking, he immediately says, there's video of it, by the way. It's not bad. It's, I don't know, a little tame maybe, but, here's the position that they like to use. So, like, he feels like the, he's essentially entitled to, watch and judge, like he's talking about it like is, a movie or something. He's not talking about like he's been fucking spying on people having sex. Like that's so fucked up. And did she know that there were cameras? She doesn't. Like as soon as she at first she's like, how did you know? And then he says, I'm the security officer, I know everything. She doesn't, because like they were fucking in a secluded place, and there were no other people around. Obviously it's not the guy who said. So I think it comes across to me as if she either knew there were cameras, or as soon as she heard, oh, this guy knows, she probably thinks it, and doesn't even comment on it, because of course there's fucking camp. God damn it. She tried. She really tried to find a place where they could just have a private moment, but they're on company time. There's no privacy. There's no, like, you don't have rights. You just have obligations. And Morrow almost immediately weaponizes it. You know, you broke the rules. There's no romantic entanglements, and I mean, it sounds to me like you're not doing everything that we need. Is this good for the company? Are you really thinking about that? I could take away the power you have now. And she's like, okay, fine, we'll do it your way. He's blackmailing and exploiting her because he's more of a company man than she is. Yeah, just chilling and really effectively done. Because, like, today, it's not that every corporation has cameras everywhere, but they try to keep an eye on, the boss is trying to keep an eye on you as much as he can. The, like, cameras are not the only way to constantly be, like, keeping track of someone else. There's a disturbing amount of surveillance in a lot of corporations today. So yeah, love that they're exploring that. And obviously, I want to acknowledge we already knew from earlier episodes on the show. Yeah, everything is watched. I guess this episode confirms. Yeah, on the fucking ships too. Not only on Earth. And I thought they did a good job with, like, we do briefly see the actual fucking, and the camera angles and the editing, make it not be, what's the word? It's not gratuitous or exploitative. It's one of those things that's something you have to be really, really careful with. You don't want it to distract. And one thing that we get from seeing the fucking is that at one point, we see her staying there, like, I guess reminiscing the fucking, and now she sees it as, oh, he was face hugged then as well. Obviously we know that's not literally happening, but that's her memory, her positive memory of this intimate situation they shared. It's ruined multiple times over. Morrow knows about it. She probably has realized there's cameras. Morrow might not. We already know that Morrow's not. I guess he never does. Did he? No, fuck. I think he saw it eventually. Yeah, but he's not the only person, and she could probably figure that because once there's video of something, it's just a matter of time. If it's accessible, multiple people might watch it. Shit, and the fact that the face hugging, yeah, she can't enjoy that memory anymore. The corporation took it from her in multiple ways. Because keep in mind, there would be no xenomorph on this ship if not for the company. And an argument could be made that I guess more than an argument, it is straight up because of the other corporation. Because the saboteur. By the way, if you haven't watched it yet, Renegade Cuts video on the saboteur is excellent. Yeah, I think that might cover the other. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, part of also again, I'm going to move on from the sex shortly, but one thing you have to be careful with there is there's sadly a lot of misogynists who do not take women seriously once they've had sex with them or seen, them in a sexual situation, or have just been told, oh yeah, I had sex with her. And they handle it really well because Zaveri is not seen to be like hypersexual. And to be clear, there's nothing inherently wrong with being that. one thing, it would be inappropriate for the circumstance, um, and it also just that's not her character. Like she straight up says, "Don't you ever get lonely?" You know, she got lonely, and now her command is being threatened over it. Um, yeah, for other than these brief glimpses, she is not seen as sexual. She's professional, and yeah, it's important to normalize the because that's the thing. I already mentioned why the sex scene, why there's a point to it. Um, it's also one of those things where because we see it briefly and it's shown through like security cameras some of the time, we are forced to become the voyeur as well. Something that um, Halloween 1978 does a really great job with. It is new to this franchise. I think I can't offhand recall another time where they do that. Anyway, other than that, yeah, because yeah, it underlines that there is voyeurism in this. Because that's another thing when people are denied most things that give them joy in life, they start getting weird ideas in their heads, and this is human nature. That doesn't make you lesser. What we have to do is make sure that people have their needs met so that this kind of thing doesn't happen, because obviously, ideally, everybody respects everybody else's fucking privacy. Um, yeah, I think that does. Essentially, the only time privacy should be violated is no shit. I don't think I am the right person. Never mind. There's other far leftists who can explain about privacy. Yeah, I'm not the right person to do it. I am just going to acknowledge that hypothetically there might be situations where privacy should be violated, but it is not. It should not be the norm. And certainly, like, what the fuck business is it of these asshole crew members who someone else on the crew is fucking? But, yeah, people get weird like that under these circumstances. Anyway, yeah, I think that pretty well covers that. So let's see, yeah, it was really effective. This thing, they tried to cut, yeah, and it killed him. And now they know about the acid blood, and yeah, that's. I thought that was a great because let's see, we've already been told that if you try to just pull it off, in the first movie they start to try to like see if they can. I think it's pull it off. They try to remove it in some way, and what's it called? It wraps the tail around his throat, Kane's throat, so they can't do that. And then here we see, well, what if you cut into that? It's a good kind of because like in that movie they didn't attempt that. Here we see how bad it would go if one did attempt that. And the I really really loved seeing the so wonderfully gross. A lot of wonderfully gross shit in this episode. It's part of what I watched this kind of sick, twisted, fucked up shit for. Um, Not only that, but it is part of it. The fact that you can see it like supply oxygen to it's like it's pumping like lungs or something. Just wonderfully, yeah. God, that's so fucked. The face, the alive one. Um, yeah, I think does that get us to so yeah? And they discuss. I thought they did a really good job on that. They discussed very early in the episode. I mean, a saboteur makes a lot of sense, And I will admit, early in the episode, I was thinking it's gotta be someone who's awake. Very nice. It's Tang who points out, what if you tricked the computer into thinking you were still in cryo? Yeah, that would fuck that would work because they're not looking for him, so he can just crawl around inside the walls. The goddamn walls. Very nicely done. Again, we're seeing, sometimes man is the dangerous animal. Um, yeah, I really love that because that's usually it's the xenomorphs that crawl around inside walls, um, and break shit and such to take. But yeah, let's see. I think that might bring us to the lab. That was also very nice. I love the little thing about is there a containment breach? No, look at it's all green. If there was a containment breach, it would be red. Got that, audience? And oh my god, that was so. So we have, yeah. She opens the containment pipe shit thing, puts a dead rat in there. And now they're in a van and closes it and just coldly notes. So when it's almost starved to death, it will eat this unusual thing. I shall make a note of this. This is interesting to science. And again, like I mentioned, I think it was in an earlier video on this show. Technically, this is science. It's fucked, but this is what science looks like without ethics. She's starving. Okay, I will grant this is a fucked up creature. Don't want it near me. But it's still pretty fucked up to be like, yeah. And things too smart for mm, mm. It gets a leg out the top, and then it unscrews to open the lid because yeah, I mean, it saw what she did. Continue to love the fucking POV shots from the fucking. I have decided that this creature deserves a name. It has made enough appearances. Henceforth, until I forget, which might happen imminently, the eye alien, I dub the Eileen. And yeah, I quite liked her going on. And to take a picture, it'll last longer. Yeah, it's let's continue to watch for the reason though. It's waiting, and that's again, now it's underlined. Yeah, the Eileen on having taken over the goat sheep something. Let's just waiting. Let's chilling. Let's just you can let your guard down at some point. It can wait. It's patient. Like we already knew. They noted. It keeps looking at us. It has object permanence. We can stand in front of that and it'll keep just fucking looking. It seems intelligent. Yeah, it's a little too smart for our good. But yeah, oh my god, fuck the leech thing climbs out and the ticks in the water. Oh, that's so fucked. And then it climbs into like in between the bread, and I'm sitting there thinking, are they gonna have her accident like start to eat and then it like jumps down her fucking throat? Jesus Christ. But they spot it, they tong it into the thing, but then she's got the water, and they do this wonderful thing. I thought they did such a fantastic job on the tension and suspense of that, because like we know, we've watched, like if you've watched a body horror, you know, creature flick, you know someone's gonna drink that fucking water. You know that's just, it's just a matter of time. And for a little while, it looks like she's gonna drink. You know, she keeps, you know, almost drinking, and then he drinks because apparently he like, what was he put too much of the spice stuff on the pie? I think it was, or something like that. And yeah, you know, that's, oh god. And then later, ah, fuck, Jesus Christ, they did such a good job on that. Um, and the eye, and the Xeno, like, see that they just fucking know. They're such, this is, this has such talented writers, this show. Because hypothetically, yeah, there's a story in just, you know, there's a Xeno on the loose on the ship. I've seen that though. You know, we already know the Xeno makes it. You know, doesn't die until a later episode after they crash on Earth. So, and you know, oh, there's a saboteur. I mean, that answers a question we had, but we already knew. You know, we had been told, yeah, there something went wrong on the ship. You know, and we do already know. You know, you know, Eileen is somewhere on board. So's the little the leech creature. So you got to do something new, and yeah, the ticks and Eileen on a human. Fuck, that was oh my god. And just for several seconds she just stands there and she's like, did you hear me? And turns around, and it's just something off about that. Oh, yep, that's Eileen. And like charges as like the noises Eileen makes in a human body, and just yeah, so fucking cool. Yeah, they I also, right, I appreciate the continued the you know, we see a little more of, yeah, you know, this kid, he just doesn't know that much. You know, earlier we in the first episode we see that he's being taught the five companies. You know, and yeah, um, let's see. Then we have the right. I like, yeah, I like the bit where, you know, the thing about, did you know that if you cut the pie in half, it grows back, and then you have two pies? It doesn't make sense, you know. And it's this thing like sometimes people, cynical people, try to take advantage of you know, more trusting people. And then he's like, last time I did that, you ate the other half. Oh fuck! I already used that one on you, didn't I? And then the kid. I'm sorry, this redeems him in my eyes. That was wonderful. Right, like I think it's right before he takes a bite. And he's like, "Why half my pie? You could have just asked." Now he's not getting any of the pie because, you know, the kid's eating it, because the other guy, the yeah, the older of the two, kept trying to trick him. He tricked him once before, and now he's trying to trick him again. Congratulations, you just talked yourself out of half a pie. I think that brings us to the, so yeah, you know, hey, there's something wrong. You better come to the lab. I swear, you know, I don't know how this happened. I was gone for 2 minutes, and yeah, they talk about how big could it be. You're gonna find out, and you're not gonna be happy you asked that question. And I think, yeah, the thing about, well, it's got acid blood. Yeah, shoot to stun, set phases to stunned, for yet another wonderful reference. Um, yeah, I think Morrow sitting there watching, footage, including like messages back to Earth and such, and yeah, and just this neutral face, because like, yeah, he's a company man. The company keeps a close eye on everyone. They gave away their privacy when they signed up with the company. The fact that they had no choice but to sign up with the company, eh, is that the company's fault? Yes, it is. But they're not going to accept blame. Um, yeah, I right. I also really love the very ending of the episode, and that thing about, my grandmother always said you were the fiercest thing. The thing about, his, apparently his arm. There was some prop. What did he say? Cerebral palsy, if I understand correctly. And so yeah, they fucked around with the arm, found out that they could turn it into a cyborg arm, and yeah, put a computer in his brain. Yeah, just is really, really, really cool. And that is, again, that's something that is actually like this idea of, you know the next level of human evolution, man and computer. Blah. I apologize for making you think of that movie. God. But yeah, they are talking about, well, maybe this or that, brain condition and physical condition can be fixed through this or that, computer thing. Um, there's also something Deus Ex. I forget what it's called. The third one, and I hear the fourth one also does. I have not played that yet. I do own it. I will definitely get to it. There's just a lot to get to. What was the other thing? Yeah. Um, so he looks through the security footage and the messages back to Earth, and you hear Saboteur, the evil Frenchman, explain himself. And then this motherfucker, goddamn, he's in this episode for maybe a minute or less. I don't think he gets. Does he get even one real close up? But he's just so fucking despicable. God damn. He can be repulsive from like extreme distance. He's on Earth, they're in space. He's still like, he interrupts this guy, bearing his heart and soul to say, I don't care. Because he knows he doesn't have to be nice to this guy, because this guy feels like he has no other option. I mean, hypothetically, let's say the guy was like, okay, if you're going to be rude, I'm not going to work with you. Okay, kid, Cavalier can just leak that video then. Then he's fucked and he got absolutely nothing out of, But yeah, um, because of this goddamn power struggle, fight over who gets to keep the shiny new toy, petty bullshit, people die. And the guy's like, I have no other options. I understand where he's coming from. Obviously, it's wrong, but you know, yeah, I feel like he's very much a you know yet another one of the countless victims of capitalism. And yeah, because like legit, if they could just fucking talk about it. If Yutani and Cavalier could just fucking talk about it. But, and they even, at the end of the episode, there's like, oh, maybe arbitration. Let's see if the lawyers can't do this. And ultimately Moro convinces her, no, it's going to be my way or the highway. Do we still have highways in this future? Have I mentioned how much I love how fucking cyberpunk this is? Like fuck yeah, I have talked about it. Shit. Okay, we're gonna move on. I don't have anything new to add there. Anyway, yeah, and the guy doesn't even really know what the company's called. He thinks Progeny and Cavalier, that he does give a shit about. It's Prodigy, named after me because I'm so smart and important. I'm the center of the fucking universe. God damn. That's another thing Noah Hawley's really fucking good at. These just unbearable asshole characters. It would be awful if we were not meant to hate his guts, but clearly we are. I'm not sure they're going to be able to add enough depth to him to make him at all redeemable, and I'm okay with that. I don't think he needs to be redeemed. I don't know, like, hypothetically, real life tech billionaires, I guess, hypothetically, really, really being as much of an, I try to be a loving, forgiving person. It's a good quality for a leftist. A lot of us try to be. Hypothetically, there are tech billionaires who could redeem themselves, but it's a long fucking road. I don't think. I mean, yeah. At this point, like, I would argue Cavalier has done things that are just so fucking bad. There's no redeeming him. I would be very surprised and impressed, but it's not impossible. I did not think, I'm not going to spoil it, but there was at least one character on Legion. I was like, there's no way they're redeeming this bastard. Yeah, I think. Does that bring us? Yeah, there's some great stuff in this episode of the Xeno, the adult Xeno going around, on the ship. I don't know why, but it really worked for me when he's just like fucking rewinding and fast forwarding and shit. Like, yeah, but he did know. Oh, there's someone. The camera doesn't quite show who it is, but there's definitely someone opening the letting out the face huggers. Yeah. Then we have the room, which, like, can we just appreciate, like, because I do think it adds a lot. I think as of Alien 1979, it is not necessary always, but if you can, in your Alien story, fit in chains, water dripping from above, steam or fog or something in the yeah, in an area that the viewer doesn't necessarily fully realize what the fuck's even, what is that? Yeah, it can add a lot. Like, because, like, I'm not the first person to say it. Why is there dripping water on the spaceship in Alien 1979? And again, it's here because it's in Alien 1979, but everybody fucking remembers it. Like, we don't know what the fuck is going on with it, but it works. Let's see, is that the rule of cool? I guess it's more like the I guess it's more creepy and foreboding than cool, but yeah. It's one of the places where the the game Cybermarks took significant inspiration from this franchise. Cybermarks, it's a video game. I did a video on it. You can look it up. I swear, I've hardly ever met someone who's actually played that fucking game or even knew it existed. Anyway, I think, yeah. So great stuff when the adult Xeno is just moving around. God, it was so fucking cool when Zeverick is just like standing first stock still, and then she does a full 180, not a 360. If you did a 360, you'd be back where you started. I have a fondness for that line, less so the rest of the movie. And then we see why, because the Xeno is right fucking there, and just yeah. That was also the line. Only the specimens matter, not you, not I, not the fucking cat. You know, somewhere Ripley's like going, hey, at least put it in a, you know, that container thing and then violently throw that thing around. And yeah, you know, for a while she ran so far away. We get more Xeno POV, reminiscent of the third movie and the Alien versus Predator games when he plays an alien. And at least one point, there's like she tries to close the door and it blocks the door from closing with the fucking tail. Yeah, like they're intelligent, you know. They understand more than we give them credit for. Or the characters in the movie sometimes give them credit for. I guess the audience has been hip to it from pretty early on. I think that brings us to the so yeah, she does manage to get in, you know, the one door, closes it, starts to weld it shut, and Eileen inside the guy, you know, charges her attacks, and then Morrow, you know, shows up, tries to open the door, can't because it's welded shut from the other side. Maybe it's like when he leaves her out there and like welds it shut. It's like he's like, well, payback, I guess. I think, yeah, you know, ultimately the Xeno gets in there, and then Eileen and the Xeno fight. That was also really cool and very interesting. And you know, yeah, video games can make some can affect these. You know, there was also the bit where she was like Zeverick was like hiding near a wall, and we see the Xeno, you know, like the profile nearby. That felt like something. I haven't played it yet, but I do own Alien Isolation. Yeah, and I hear there's also like the save stations from that game made it into the most recent of the movies, Alien Romulus. That's the word. Yeah, that was it's really cool seeing this fight, because it's this thing of like we know that the Xeno is really strong. We haven't really seen Eileen fight in any of the forms because mostly Eileen has been in captivity in some way. Yeah, and you know the episode near the end of the episode, we get back to the end of the, you know, from we saw the end of that bit for in the first episode, you know, with him locking her out there and going to the impact room. Right, it was also really cool the shootout between the yeah, and you know that one guy got killed. You know, just because the other guy needs, the saboteur needs this to work out for him. Yeah, and also, he even says, "Well, what if the ship crashes and I survive? Sucks for you, I guess." This fucking asshole! I swear. Oh my god. And the let's see. I think, does that pretty much get us? Right. I like the bit where right, the bit where it drooled on Teng was also very cool, and this thing of like, right, and we have the reiteration of Teng, uh, creepily watching. Um, and I would argue that is also coded. That is something I've heard people say about people on the autistic spectrum. Um, yeah. Mm, I think, does that bring us to the right? I like the bit where yeah, Morrow is like gets up close against, was maybe Clem, I think it was some and you know engages one of the cyborg things, and the other guy's like, listen, I swear I'm not the saboteur. Now, can you lay off the RoboCop reference? I don't even know if we have those rights. That was really cool. I really should have picked up on that in an earlier episode, because this is not the first time he's got out the little thing that's between um, the middle finger looking thing, which is also goddamn RoboCop's. That first movie is fucking amazing. Um, where I feel like there's something else. Um, but yeah, that is also a nifty. Yeah, I mean, the cat didn't die in the crash. Got Eileened though. Um, it's still unclear if Eileen, has babies that go into your eyes, or if the you know it's possible she just thinks she's pregnant. It's one of those things I can understand. Right. I don't really have anything to add to it. I thought that Jesse Genter did a really solid. Uh, I think it was her. It could have been um, Council of Geeks, but one of the two at least did some really solid analysis on why the redhead thinks she's pregnant. I do appreciate, maybe she's thinking like, well, the cat had two eyes, and then, Eileen came out, and I have two eyes. Maybe I'm about to give birth to Eileen, kind of thing. But then, why doesn't she think every adult that she comes across that has two eyes is pregnant? It's possible that it is. I think it's either trauma that's confusing her, in addition to the confusion of this new body and all this knowledge that either that, or there actually is a parasite in her eye now, and she's struggling to verbalize it because she doesn't have enough information, and she doesn't have the maturity to she doesn't just come out and say, Eileen flew towards me. I think it got something in my eye. I think that might just about be it. But yeah, I thought they did a fantastic job in this episode, just setting up these little things and then letting them play out. Um, yeah. Um, yeah, and it was also really cool with the, yeah. I mean, we knew that there must be like the ticks probably ate the insides the way that, you know, the leech, drains your blood. It makes a lot of sense. It's just, oh my god, it's so fucking gross. Can you imagine drinking something that has these little ticks and they start like eating your ins? Oh. And again, like, 'cause right from the start, this is a franchise that understands that when we human beings see our fellow men or women get something parasitic or gross in our mouths inside our bodies, that really fucks with our, like, it triggers some like deep anxieties, like real, like, yeah, primal instinct kind of shit, like just not the movie. um Fuck, that's called Primal Fear. God damn, my memory's shot to shit. um Maybe the saboteur took aim at it. um but yeah, and they're like, how do we even save this guy? And they try to use the tongs to take the ticks, and it's like, yeah, yeah. um and also just, yeah, the fucking idea that, but he was in cryosleep. Well, yeah, I mean, he was. We don't know if the face hugger was. We know they can survive, the vacuum of space. Yeah, that's the thing. How do they? God. And it's also, it makes sense because, like, as soon as the chest burster is like ready to burst out, it probably is like, oh, this looks bad. Uh, I can't stay here, so it, gets out. Just, yeah, goddamn. I believe that might be everything. Yeah, really cool when they're talking about, um, stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I think I ate too much or something like that," because, like, his insides hurt, and, yeah, the other guy's like, "Don't you dare vomit." And, he turns away and he tries to, like, be secretive about being secretive. Um, Ultimately, he turns around, he's caught red-handed, and yeah, I thought they did a really good job also in this episode of, like we start in this, like, already kind of crisis situation, and then over the course of the episode it just gets worse and worse until it does spiral out of their control. And they did a good job of this thing of, like, I mean, obviously they planned it all. They had written this a bit beforehand, but yeah, several of the people that we see die in this episode, we do indeed see them being found in, I believe it was the very first episode, so yeah, very nicely done on that. uh this is one of those things you could so easily end up in fucking the Thing prequel territory, the I want to say 2011 film. Yeah, I think that might cover everything. um right, the bit with the, you better come take a look at this. This, when they discover the tick situation, and, she's like, ah, can it wait? And, the response, appropriately enough, right. Oh, just briefly, I like the how international this, and diverse this group is. That the crew of this ship, is basically like, yeah. I mean, I figure a bunch of these are probably immigrants to America, or the descendants of such. And yeah, they need jobs. I'm sure the anti woke chuds. I don't really. occasionally see some of what they say because I watch, Anthony Cornelia. Not that he only talks about that. And Otterly Noah, again, not that he only talks about that, but yeah, I can imagine they're upset about the diversity, as if it doesn't make perfect sense. And like in real life, there is some diversity when it comes to like astronauts and such. Like, but yeah, there's the there's the thing about, listen, if you don't come right now, I'm pretty sure this guy is going to die, and I just want there to be an outtake where her response is, which crew member is it? Because maybe I could take a walk around the block.